they work.
4K, yeah. No, that's.
If you've seen the videos, they don't look like terrible, but it's not the greatest quality.
I thought they look good.
They look alright.
I think it's cool that you're using 3 cameras too, where you're able to swap back and forth.
Yeah.
It's pretty excellent.
Yeah. Fucking A, man.
Fucking A, brother.
Well, let's fucking do this shit.
Let's.
Chris, how do you pronounce your last name?
Barton.
Barton. I always call you Chris Burton in my head.
Because of the snowboards, everybody's like, Burton? No, Barton.
No, fuck that. Cliff Burton.
Cliff. I stand corrected.
But so you were telling me earlier that Machinecorpse has been the only band ever that you ever been?
Well,
I mean, you had to have some bullshit projects before that.
Well, in high school, when I first, I borrowed a bass, and was trying to learn how to play bass, and I learned how to play the beginning of Jump in the Fire, of course, from the Metallica tab. Yeah. And but that was the only thing I could play, and yeah, that lasted about a week. Yeah, and I couldn't play anything.
I just can't imagine bass being fun to just learn or play. I mean, I guess if you're in a band and like you got to learn other people's songs, and then that should go up by really quick, and then boom, you're on stage.
Exactly. Well, I'm in a band. I don't care what I got to do. No, I because that was the song that I was like, we have to play this song. Everybody, the other guitar players, are like, dude, you're playing the guitar part. The bass goes bump, 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 and I'm going ticka, 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 ticka. So they handed me a guitar, and that was it. I played guitar from then on.
And what year is this? It's like 60s or something?
Yeah. Well, all right. You make me feel a little bit younger then. No, this was like back in like 88, 89.
88, 89. God damn it. So I was a 3-year-old baby. Right on.
Oh, geez.
And is this in Alaska?
Yeah, out in Wasilla.
So you're from Alaska?
Actually, I was born in Florida, and then when I was 4, my parents drove up here, and pretty much have been here ever since. We left for a little bit when I was like in 2nd grade, and then I left for about 13 years after high school. I took off and traveled and did other things.
Also, so you did leave Alaska?
Yeah.
So where did you live?
All over the place. I lived in Texas. I lived in Washington for quite a while. Nevada.
How old were you in all these years?
Pretty much from about the time I was 17 until I was about 33.
Okay.
Yeah, about 16 years or so.
What do you do for work?
Well, right now I do project controls. I'm a computer geek. I sit around and I look at project costs and I report on them. I just make cool spreadsheets and I play in Excel all day.
Are those spreadsheets really cool?
You know, I think they're pretty cool myself.
What did you do when you were out on outside of Alaska?
Oh man,
just
dude,
odd jobs.
I've done so. Yeah, I worked at a ranch for a while, a couple of years, running cattle. I wore a cowboy hat. I was never a cowboy, but that was my job, wrestling with cows.
Clown rodeo.
Pretty much. Oh, I worked at a power plant for a couple of years. Wow, I'm trying to think back. I was a roughneck, working on drilling rigs for a good long time, and that's what kind of got me into the oil industry, and then that's where I am today.
So when you were out there, were you playing music at all, or
I always was
kind of on a hobby? Like
I was always a hobby. I was always kind of by myself, especially when I was down in Nevada. That was from 95 until 2003, when I moved back to Alaska, and at that time I had gotten my first drum machine, this little Boss drum machine, and I realized I can program everything in here. This is rad, and so then I had that, and I ended up buying this Tascam cassette 4-track, and trying to record stuff. So I'd program all my stuff on the drum machine and hit go and then bounce all that and then sit there bouncing it back and forth a million times. Then your tape just sounds like fuzz.
Nerd. You're such a nerd.
I am.
And it makes sense because Machinecorpse was very electronic. You had a lot of samples, a lot of stuff like that. It makes sense. I always thought that was pretty interesting because nobody in the scene at the time was doing that. So you guys were like incorporating a lot of like sounds that you guys made that you build in your computer, sample it. Yeah, because, you guys' setup was complicated. You guys had a laptop out there and fucking your guys' sound check was like 2 hours long.
Well, it was a perfect recipe for disaster every time.
Especially if you had to play like in the middle and like bring everything up real quick and try to fucking plug everything in.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember that, man. Those were the fucking days, man. But
it was funny because when I first, like how it got started, because I was always just a studio musician. I just did my own thing. I knew what I wanted to hear, this, electronic. It started back in high school, actually, about 86, actually. My buddy had a boom stereo in his car.
So when I was born. Awesome.
86. But he was, got in his car and he had this huge subwoofer system in the back, and nobody had that in Alaska at that time. And I was like, what is that? And he played Run DMC in there, and I was like, oh my God, if you had those beats and you put Metallica guitars on there, that would be freaking amazing. And so that was always my thought. And so when I started getting gear and building my own stuff, that was always the sound that I was trying to accomplish. And I was always by myself because I just didn't really have other people around.
Right.
Until a Craigslist ad one day I saw, and it was Tommy Lee had put an ad in there. Hey, just jam, no drama, whatever. And
Tommy Lee.
not the Motley Crue Tommy Lee.
Okay.
The Alaskan Tommy Lee.
You have to.
Yeah.
I was like this for. What?
I was never that cool. Maybe in my own mind.
Okay. Go on with your stupid story now.
But so yeah, I met Tommy Lee, and he's like, no drama, whatever. I got a singer and a couple guitar players, whatever. So I went over to his house one day, and I walk in, and there's this dude playing drums, and I could tell he knew what he was doing, and there was a singer, and I was like, wow, that is the voice I've always heard in my head. I dig that, and the dude was crazy.
Who's that?
Dennis Reed. And we'll get to that.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding, Dennis. I know you're watching this.
And you know what, Dennis? I have to apologize. Shout out to you, brother. You've been after me forever to do this, and Enzo beat you to it. I apologize.
We'll talk how this came to be.
It was totally random.
Yep.
But,
go ahead.
But there's these two guys playing guitar in there, and they're in their own world with their sunglasses, playing music, their own song, not listening to the drummer or the vocalist.
Wow, this sounds so cool.
Oh, yeah. They looked cool anyways. And so, but that was the start of it. Finally, one dude's like, here, you play. I'm like, no. I didn't want to be that guy. I was nothing special, but I knew I could play something that sounded like a riff with those drums. And so then I ended up playing, and yeah, and then that's how it all started. That's I never planned on playing live ever because I was just a studio geek. I just want to do my own thing. And Dennis is like, we got to do live.
Oh, yeah. If you run into Dennis, he's gonna, exactly. That's hilarious because you're pretty much meeting the guy that is, in my opinion, one of the best frontmen like Alaska has ever had.
Absolutely.
I've always gave him that respect, and I always admired Dennis so much for that. Just the heart that he has on stage and that belief that he has in himself of being a god up there and being so confident. And if he has a band behind him that has his back and with the fucking music, he's gonna fucking give you a great performance as a frontman. So yeah, it's hilarious. You meet a guy like that, and then you're never even thought about being on stage.
No, and so it's funny because I was working on the Slope at the time. And I was listening to a lot of Fear Factory and picking the music apart, like, what are they doing that works? How are they making awesome sounding music? And so I just kind of, Linchpin was the song I was playing at the time, and I was like, I just took that as a recipe, and I wrote Corporate and put all that together. And
how does the riff go?
And it's all, you're free, and freedom is beautiful, and it'll take time to restore chaos. That's George Bush on the little sample part at the beginning. We open the show a lot with that song because it's kind of an anthem.
Yeah, I remember that.
But Dennis was working at wherever he was working at some restaurant or whatever, hotel. And I came back and I pulled up in my giant monster truck with a Decepticide and Slayer sticker on it. And I was like, hey man, check this out. He's like, yeah, I can't quit the band. These guys are my friends and I can't do it, man. I can't, I was like, well, just take a listen to this song and maybe you want to do some vocals on it, and that's cool. I won't bug you again. And so he sits in my truck and I got a good system and I cranked it up and he's like, oh, and he immediately starts singing. I'm like, yes. He's like, yeah, I gotta quit. I was like, right on, brother. We're gonna do this.
Dennis is so loyal. I can't do it, man. Can't do this to these guys. You know what? Fuck those guys. I'm gonna call them right now.
Well, and his vocals and just him as a person, like you said, that passion, that inspired me to write every song that I wrote for the next couple of years, because I just wanted to hear what he would do on it.
Yeah, exactly. So, damn. So how do you guys actually start the band?
Well, that day at Tommy's house, so I wrote Corporate, Chaotic. I don't know what the next one was. Maybe Their War, I think, or Unspoken. But I wrote 3 or 4 or 5 songs, and we made a setup. I had a setup kind of like this at my house. And but the thing was, because of the electronics, I can't DJ and play guitar at the same time, so we had to figure out a way that we could make this work live. And it all boiled down to that drummer had to play with a click track. And so I had an epiphany one day, and it was, well, a stereo track is 2 channels, and most PA systems, they run them in mono, so it doesn't matter where you are, you hear everything. And I was like, okay, well, I can put all the samples on one side of the mix on the right channel, and then the click track on the left, and get it perfectly synced up. And then I can run that through the mixer where just the drummer gets the click track, and then just the house gets the samples.
Right.
And so, and Tommy stepped up. He'd never played with a metronome before, but he practiced and he got it. And for a while we practiced just with the music and the program drums coming through the system.
Right.
And just played along with it. And then he picked it up and we just went from there. And then came, we have to play live. It was fine and dandy in my living room. We had a blast. But I'm like, dude, I was so scared.
Oh my God, I bet you fucking were, because, well, I bet that's such a different experience, you know, because obviously my first show, I was in high school.
Yeah.
I was a teenager, you know, I was fucking, I think I was 17, 18, and it was a high school battle of the bands, so it's actually even more nerve-wracking, because if it was like a venue where there's a bunch of people that you don't even know, it's
that
like
are drinking, yeah, but these are your friends.
But these are your friends. These are people you're gonna run into the fucking hallway. People that you don't know, but you see them every day, and they're there, especially
judging you.
Oh yeah, you know, like it's so tribal, like high school, like cliques and shit. So like, you know, there's always your high school band that they're kind of famous in the school because they've been playing for a few years, you know, since junior high. So everybody knows them and everybody expects them to win. And then here you are, you're a brand new band, and you know, there's a lot of like fucking looking at you a certain way and shit. Like I didn't even get to play. I had to audition to play Battle of the Bands. The first time I did it, nope.
Really?
They're like, no, you can't. Sorry, you don't have a vocalist. You don't have this. I was like, well, I just want to play instrumental. No, it's just not gonna sound good. Fine. Then come my senior year, and I'm like, I still don't have a vocalist, but I have a full band. I have guitar player, bass player, I have a drummer. My drummer wasn't even in high school. He was in middle school.
Oh, jeez.
Do you know who Brandon Morrow is?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was your drummer?
He's my first drummer.
Oh, jeez. That's awesome.
Yeah, so, you know, because when I moved to Jewel Lake, he lived down the street, so I saw these kids like skating down the street, and I just kind of like, hey, what's up? And they're like, oh, we usually skate in this cul-de-sac around the corner. Just come over. And I go over, and Brandon's house is right there, and they were kind of friends with this kid, so that's how I met Brandon. And then I come to find out that he's fucking plays drums, but I was like, you know, my stepbrother taught me how to play guitar, but he was a drummer, so I used to jam with my stepbrother. My stepbrother graduates from high school, so he leaves, so I'm like, all right, well, plus he was already playing in another band, so he wasn't really giving me much time, so that's how I started playing with Brandon. But I forgot what I was even saying, but yeah, my first show was with him. I was just young. So you were a fucking adult. You'd think that you'd have your nerves more in check, but I kind of get it. I mean, I, as an adult, I've been nervous about big shows.
Yeah.
I played the Denina Center, the last summer meltdown there ever was, and that was the first and the last concert I ever felt that it was a legit concert, big fucking arena. I mean, when we stepped on that fucking stage, that room was so fucking big, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we had a good spot. Like, you know, at this time, we'd already had like some good reps, so we didn't have to battle to get in there. Like, we got called to play, and we got to play like right in the middle of the fucking show, so the venue was packed. And he was like, wow, dude. And it was one of our best fucking sets, but I remember just fucking being so nervous. I felt like throwing up.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I never felt like that, and it's because it was a big show. By the time this happened, this is like 2012.
Okay.
12 or 13. So I already have experience. Already have like 5 years of playing shows and shit. But yeah. Anyway, so where was your first show?
Well, so it's funny. I to get to that, I will. The whole Machinecorpse thing, the name, that actually has been like everything that I've done musically has been under that name since like '98.
How'd you come up with the name?
Well, it was either Hammermill because I saw it on a box of paper that the brand name is Hammermill. And I was like, that sounds cool. And then Diebold, which was on an ATM machine. It's the manufacturer. I was like, that's cool. And then of course I always liked Cannibal Corpse and Machine Head. And I was like, because I wanted to be called Machine Head, but then there's somebody else already that. I'm like, Machinecorpse. Yeah. I'll just throw those together. So
Is there another Machinecorpse out there?
when I first
There's one more Decepticide out there.
I'm sure there is. There was one that some dude tried to act like he was going to sue me. This has been back like in '99. He's like, got a hold of me when I first got my first email or whatever. He got a hold of me. He's like, yeah, you can't. I've got my lawyers. I'm like, what? And so I was able to find a song, and not that my stuff sounded that great, but it definitely sounded better than that, so I wasn't worried about it. I'm like, dude, you know what? You keep that name and you use it. That's fine with me.
That's hilarious. That's kind of how we felt about the other Decepticide we found. And we, when we started Decepticide, MySpace was still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't see any Decepticide. So we searched for it because, Ryan came up with the name. It was a totally made up name.
It's a cool name.
So it was bizarre to find another Decepticide and they were from like California or Seattle. I don't know. They were kind of like a screamo band, but they were terrible. And I was like, I'm not worried about these guys.
We're on the same stage.
I don't think they're gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
And like within the first 2 years, like we had like way more fucking followers than they did. They always stayed within like a few hundred, and we were already like up to 1,000. And we're like, we're not worried about those guys. But that's funny. Yeah, we made it. We came out with Ryan came out with the name, totally made up. So you just kind of put two bands together.
That's it pretty much.
I always thought that. I didn't know. I didn't know it was your only band. I didn't know that. I thought you guys like started a band, and what every band does.
Let's make up a name.
Let's make up a name.
Well, and see, that's the funny thing.
Everybody was cool with the name?
Well, everybody was very cool with the name. That was the thing, because we got together, and I didn't want to use that name because I had already been doing it for like 10 years. I had like 3 CDs out on my own. Mm-hmm. A lot more electronic, still heavy, but just a lot more electronic. I did everything, the vocals and everything on them. But, and we threw out names. Mine was Coat Hanger Militia. I'm like, Coat Hanger Militia. And they're like, no, Machinecorpse is too cool. Let's use that name. I'm like, but I already have a following, and I don't really want to merge the two. And so, so we ended up doing it, and that's fine. It just evolved, and that's what it was. It evolved into the first show, to get to your question.
I think it only like matters if you guys would have gotten really big, and then there's a split up, and let's say you have to leave the band, and then the band continues. You're like, whoa, dude, that's my brand.
Yeah, well, and actually, I did make that clear.
Yeah.
When I finally said, we can use this, but if ever this happens, everybody gets credit, but it's going to be my name, and I'm going to continue to do it. And everybody was fine with that.
Did they sign the contract?
There was no contract.
Oh,
it was written in blood.
You fucked up.
Soul. No, you're right. But so we finally evolved into being a live band, and we had Dennis was planning it, because that's what Dennis does, and the Carousel was going to be the first show ever.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, I don't know if you called me or I called you. I think you called me. And you're like, hey, man, we just played a show last night. We still have all our gear loaded up in the trailer. If you want to, maybe not. Maybe I don't know how we got a hold. But I remember I talked to you on the phone. I was taking a nap that afternoon, stressed out because I'm going to go play a freaking show. I've never been. I'd played in church back when I used to go to church, way back when, but not metal. And so, we go to the Carousel. And of course, I know my gear. I know how to hook it up so that you get the sound coming out of the speakers, and the click track is going to the drummer, because there's always the possibility it's going to be backwards, and out of the PA system you get click, click, click. And so you guys played first. I think somebody else went, and then you guys played. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, how do I follow that? I was just, like you said, you wanted to puke. I wanted to puke. I was like, you guys were so badass. And I was like, holy fuck, man, what am I doing here?
Dude, not to toot my own horn. Not to toot my own horn, but the last time we played a show together, Dennis was coming up. He came up here for the show. And then we'll talk about how that show came to be. But I remember telling Dennis, I was like, hey, you sure you want to close the show? I was like, this is our house, dude.
Yeah.
And we will fucking bring it down.
Oh, yeah. And you always do.
And he is like, no, it's kind of our thing. It's going to be our show, so we're going to headline. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, we already know. We know each other. We know what we can do. I'm just saying, I want people to start leaving.
During your set, yeah.
Because that happens. We play and then people start leaving. And I don't mean to be braggadocious.
Pompous or anything, yeah.
I really don't. I just, I take fucking pride on my band. I know what we can do and what we've done in fucking 13 years, coming up to 14 next month.
Yeah.
And I just remember that Dennis said, like, you guys were going to headline. I was like, well, I get that it's your show. I'm just saying, like, I want you guys to have a good crowd and fucking, if we close the show, for sure there's going to be a crowd. They'll probably stick around,
yeah.
And it wasn't that there wasn't a crowd, because there was still a big crowd for you guys when you guys finally got to play. But Dennis got so fucked up. And then when he came out of the stage, he was like, I should have let you guys fucking play last. I'm like, I fucking told you, dude.
And then my amp took a dump on me, and I'm like, Enzo, can I use yours? Because yours was right there, and I was, thank you.
You guys never sounded better.
I gotta say, I did dig it because you had speakers on both sides of the stage. I was like, yeah, that's what I sound like.
That's right.
But yeah, that first show, and of course, so you guys get done, and the PA system or the stereo system that they have at the carousel. I get my stuff hooked up.
At the time, well, actually, there's no system now, so not trying to talk shit. Linda, we love you, but the carousel was a fucking dumpster fire sometimes.
At that time, this was quite a while ago now. This is 12 years ago.
You show up and it looks like there's a PA system. It's not. It's kind of like those bands like Slayer. They have a wall of fucking Marshalls and there's only 2 plugged in. That's what that fucking PA system looked like. It looked like it was some decent shit, and then you go to it, like half of it didn't even fucking work. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
So I got my stuff hooked up and thought it was all good to go. Everybody's ready. I hit play, and about 2 seconds later, out the PA system goes click, 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 click. I'm like, no! Turn around and I swap the plugs real quick, and then take 2.
Came to be.
Yep. And so, and so we did. We trudged through it. It worked out, and the rest is history. It got better after that.
Did you guys have Adam at this time?
We did. That was actually the very first show that Adam had played with us.
How'd you guys acquire Adam?
He was friends with Tommy, good friends with Tommy. He was living down south, but wanting to move back to Alaska. And he'd been doing his own thing, recording a bunch of music.
Yeah, he also does his own, fucking zombie unicorn. Dude, Adam, by the way, fucking that was one of the greatest projects Alaska I'd ever seen. I remember telling him when he was doing that, I was like, dude, you should be doing this shit in Vegas.
Yeah.
You should be in Las Vegas right now doing this, like, big. Amazing. Anyways, but yeah.
Yeah, he had been doing a lot of kind of the same thing as like Zombie Unicorn, but it was more just guitar oriented, and it was always based on like superheroes and comic book stuff, which was kind of cool. And so, of course, we hit it off right off the bat. I was like, yeah, dude.
Of course. 2 fucking nerds get together at the fucking... that's hilarious. Yeah. Everything makes so much sense now, man.
It's all coming clear.
Everything's coming like, oh, of course.
Oops.
Right on, man. So you guys play your first show. Now, what year is this? This is 2000...
would have been maybe 99? No, wait. No.
Machinecorpse.
2009, I'm sorry.
2009. Machinecorpse been together 2009? So this is before we left Alaska.
Yes.
Okay. Then I don't have like a good memory of like how, how we played. Because if we play with you guys, we have played so many shows.
It's been and those first ones were pretty lame. We did a CD release party not too long after that out at the Maxi Resort.
You guys did one at Coots, didn't you?
Not a CD release party, no. Sicarius did, and that was you guys. You guys were supposed to play first, and then we were supposed to go second, and then Sicarius was supposed to. And Sicarius, shout out, you guys were freaking awesome.
No.
Your drummer couldn't show up or whatever, and you're like, you guys are gonna have to go, or whatever. You're gonna have to go first, and I'm like,
Luke has asked me to play this show, And you guys are from the Valley, Machinecorpse and Sicarius.
Yeah.
Sicarius. Is that how you say it?
Sicarius.
Sicarius? Shit, I've been saying it wrong the whole time.
Maybe.
I'm probably going to continue saying it wrong. Doesn't matter. Lucas calls me. He's like, dude, it'd be awesome if you guys play our fucking CD release show. And I was like, we're at Coots. I'm like, okay. Again, you're coming to my house. This is our town, man. And we bring the house down every fucking time. I already fucking said that. And I'm like, of course, man. We'll either open for you guys or we can play, we can play last. Again, and no playing last because we're the headliners. There's no such a thing as a headliner in Alaska.
True.
So first, let's start with that.
Yeah.
So it was never like, well, we got a headline because we're the best band. The best band fucking headlines. Like, no, dude. The best spot is fucking midnight or 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
Second to last. That's your best spot.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what kind of show it is. That's your best spot. You don't want to play last. And he was like, of course. So they were gonna headline, and we were gonna play. We were gonna open for them. So, and I made it very clear to him. I was like, we don't open. Like we just don't. And like I'm sorry, but I gotta fucking tell you this. Like we don't play first. Like as Decepticide, we already did that for on the come up and all that. Now we're a band that's established. We have a name and we have fucking followers, and we just don't open. Do you want us to play your seed release? Of course, but we'll open for you right before, or we can close the show so people stick around. And he's like, of course, you guys will play. And D-Day of the show, he tells me that, well, it's just that we're sharing gear and like you guys do the electronic thing, and like it's just gonna be better like if the two of you just play last, Machinecorpse Sicarius, because you guys are sharing gear, and it's just gonna be best for everybody. And it was only 3 bands. It was us, you guys, and those guys. So I was like, so we're gonna play first? I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, I'm not gonna do it. And then he was like, well, what's the big deal? I'm like, I told you this from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I told you this from the very beginning. We don't fucking open. I will open for you and play before you, or I can play last. Like one of those 2 options. But you're not gonna call me the day of the fucking show and do that. Not only that, we were advertising it heavy on Facebook. We were paying for advertisement. Mm-hmm. And then he's telling me that, well, you guys are going to play first. I'm like, first of all, you're not going to tell me anything because you're coming to my fucking town. I'm sorry, but that was my attitude at the time. It's still my attitude right now. And today, I mean, we're not going to fucking play first. I will play first for 36.
Yeah.
But even when we did that last year, that fucking venue was packed before I even walked into the fucking venue. I mean, that was an amazing show. It wasn't because of us, but 36th, 25th anniversary or something like that. It was amazing. But it was like these guys from the Valley are gonna come up here and gonna tell me like I gotta open this the show, the whole show, like play first. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen. And I was like, well, but we just won't play.
So what's funny about that is that it was I can't remember his name right now. Their drummer, Alex, was the one that had approached us. So we got 2 different people obviously making plans from Sicarius. And he's like, yeah, Decepticide's going to go, then you guys, and then we'll go ahead and finish it up. We're getting it recorded, da-da-da. And so then the night shows up, or the night of, we're there, and I'm talking to you, and then all of a sudden, you're like, hey, you guys are going to have to go. I'm like, oh, no, actually, that's not what I was told. And of course, I don't want to open. Nobody wants to open. Right. I mean, and so I forget the dude's name. He was... the guy he did the Warped Tour stuff, or no, he didn't. He was like a...
You know what happened that show? We played twice.
Yes, that's what I was getting to. We had to go back to the panty bar, you and me, and then that other dude that we had to talk about. I'm like, all right, I got an idea. I said, what do you think about everybody wins if we do an appetizer? And everybody's like, what do you mean? I was like, how about you guys go play 2 or 3 songs, take a break, the band, the bar gets full, people are drinking, we go up and play 2 or 3 songs. And then we take a break. It extends the whole show out longer. People are drinking more. They get to see both bands twice. And then, so we did that. You guys went and played a couple. Then we played a couple.
That's right.
Then you went back up and just destroyed the place. We went and did our thing. And then Sicarius, it was a blast. And I remember Alex and Lucas, they were like, dude, thank you so much. It was perfect. It couldn't have been any better.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
It really did work. It
started off like that. That Saturday was like stressful because when I got that text, it was like, hey, so you guys are going to go first? And I'm like, wait a fucking minute. And then when we got to the venue, everybody's kind of like basically pumping their chest like, well, we're not going to fucking do this. Well, you're coming to my fucking city. We're not going to I don't have to play.
I will out crazy you.
I will out crazy you, dude. I promise you that. But yeah, it was amazing. Sicarius, man, what an amazing band. One of those bands that came out of nowhere, and I was like,
and disappeared. Then
and you know, so many bands. That's the saddest story that repeats in this town, man. Amazing bands that just come up. Sicarius, those Thrasher
the
kids.
younger ones.
Yeah,
yes,
Destroyer.
I know. Yes, I saw the dude, one of the guitar players, not too long ago walking around. I didn't say anything to him, but I recognized him, and I know he didn't recognize me. So
Destroyer, what am I idiot? Terraform.
The one dude, Murat. His family owns the.
They own a restaurant.
Yes, Turkish Delight. Turkish Delight. Go eat there. It is awesome. Spanakopita.
Yeah, Murat. I need to have Murat. You gotta come here, buddy. We gotta do a podcast.
Yeah. He's all into piano now, playing like classical piano.
Whatever he's doing, of course he's so talented, man. He's one of those kids that it's kind of like, you know, I've been a skateboarder for since '99, and he came. You know, skateboarding was awesome, and it's still awesome. I still do it, but when I stopped like doing it for real is when I started seeing little kids fucking doing what it took me like years to fucking perform. That's kind of how Murat was to me when I first saw him play guitar. It's like, this kid is everything that I do now, but he's like doing it like
perfect already
at 18 years old, at 17 years old, and such a badass. And like, that was one of the bands that's like a bummer that just kind of disappeared. And you know, I've heard about some of the drama, whatever. I was like, well, yeah, but fucking get over it, man. Like, you guys are awesome. You guys cannot die. Yeah. Don't die for me, please. Yeah, man, fucking. That is the story of Alaska, man. So many bands like that they just weren't, and they weren't anymore. Terraform, man. Machinecorpse, fucking Omerta turns into the Dead Sea. Mercy's whole bands, 12 O'Clock High, fucking although she is still playing, and what he was talking on the last podcast that, you know, they're fucking have new material. So I'm so excited to see those guys still fucking playing. But you know, Christian was here yesterday doing a podcast, and you know, Seed in Ashes is like, it's one of those bands kind of like you guys that we have such a long history, and it's like a bummer for us that we're like the older guys.
Last man standing.
Yeah, man. We're still like there holding it. We're still here creating music, but like our fucking buddies that we've been playing shows for like over a decade.
Yeah.
They're like done. It's like, fuck, man. When is it gonna be us? Never.
Yeah, I wanted to kick the whole Machinecorpse thing back up this last year. I mean, we were talking earlier about that, and then of course COVID happened, and that kind of just threw a wrench in getting together and jamming and doing all that. So I've just been doing my own thing.
Man, today was I dreamt this. It was totally deja vu, man.
Really?
Yep. And I didn't realize it was deja vu when I got home and I was telling my wife about what just happened, and I like stopped. I was like, I dreamt this happened already. This already happened.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, so I went to my shop where I work to make a fucking trash run, just like, you know, just dump some trash, and I come out and I'm there at the fucking corner of fucking Diamond and
it wasn't King Street, the next one down
is the next one. I think it's called Diamond Circle, the circle. Anyways,
the metal supermarket's right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm waiting for traffic to pass so I can get in, and then I see you drive by, and I see you from the light. And I was like, is that Chris? And the closer you get, I'm like, oh, that is Chris. And then like you saw me, and
it was so weird.
Your face was like,
well, I was like, fuck, that's Enzo, and you did this. And I'm like, surely he didn't see me, and he definitely didn't recognize me.
So when I finally turn onto Diamond and I'm driving, I pass the stoplight, the first stoplight to get into the Diamond Mall. I see you keep going like this.
I'm like, where are you going? I was thinking, shit, man, it'd be cool to talk. I want to hook up.
So when you turn to the mall, I was like, oh, does he want me to fucking pull over? I was like, I was gonna pull up my phone, but I was driving. I was like, I was like, well, and then I missed my entry when you turn to go into the parking lot. I missed it, and I was like, well, I'll just come through Best Buy, and then I see you like come down, and so I parked and I flagged you. And then, then we talk, and you're like, oh, what's up? And you were, like, selling some shit. And I was like, well, let me meet with this guy, and I'll come talk to you. And I was like, sure. So you come back, we talk, and talk about music and like how you been and this and that. I didn't know you were in Anchorage. I was like, as soon as you said that, I'm like, podcast. Yeah, it's like, and I was like, all right, cool. And it's like, you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm trying to find a snowboard. I've been looking since yesterday, so I'm gonna go check out playing against sports. And you're like, dude, I have one that I'll just give to you. And I'm like, and to me it was like I've been for like a whole week like looking for a snowboard, and like I've been on the marketplace, Craigslist, and just like looking for a good deal. And then yesterday I was a player against sports at the one in Diamond and also and the one in Spinar, and everything's scratched up, just shitty, whatever. But so I was going back to play against sports to just buy one that I saw that I was like, okay, well that one will work, whatever. So I tell you, it's like, well, I'm looking for snowboard, and you're like, I'll just give it to you. I'm like, this is crazy, man. I could have taken an extra minute dumping trash or like coming out of the exit, but
it was right on time.
But it was right on time. I mean, I could have been late for another maybe 5 seconds, but no more. An extra 5 to 10 seconds, I would have missed.
We would have missed that. Well, and the funny thing is I put this gear. I've got just a bunch of old, not even old, but just a bunch of recording and music gear that I just don't use, and I don't have room to just store it. And so I put this ad up, and this guy calls me, and he's asking me all these questions about stuff. I'm like, look, dude, it's just guitar pedals. They're nice. Here's pictures of them. And so he was back and forth. He's like, well, when can you meet? I'm like, well, what about this time? He's like, no, I can't do it then. I'm like, well, what about 1 o'clock? He's like, okay, 1 o'clock. And so I just, like you said, I mean, it was right on time. And I had no idea that you turned in there either. That's the funny thing, because I drove around into the parking lot, and I kind of slid around the corner sideways there because I like to drift. And I see the white van over there, the dude that's buying my pedals. But as I'm looking over there, I look over here and I see, shit, that's Enzo in his truck. And I figured you must have just been going to the mall. I had no idea you were going there to bullshit.
I thought you saw me.
No, so like I had no idea. And that's why I pulled up. I'm like, dude, hang on 1 second. I got to go sell this stuff. I'll be right back.
Dude, it was like meant to be.
Totally.
Like, life is fucking amazing, dude. Like, when I got home, I was telling my wife about it. I was like, I had to stop. I was like, I dreamt this. I dreamt that I was in this situation, that I was looking for something. I don't know if it was a snowboard, maybe it was something else, but I was looking for something, and then I went out to buy it, but then I ran into my friend, and then he just happened to have it, and he just gave it to me. And then it was like, it could have 5 more seconds. 5 more seconds, I missed you. You would have drove by, and I could have missed you, and none of this would have been happening today.
Dude, there is no such thing as coincidence.
No, dude. And we're supposed to have band practice today, and it didn't happen because Brian needs to get his beauty sleep. So he has to wake up early, so he cannot play drums for a few minutes with us. So he had canceled. Then I went to make a dump run. I run into you, get the snowboard, and then we're here doing a podcast.
It's been a good day. My wife's like, how's your day? I was like, this is probably one of the best days I've had in a long time, because I've been, since this whole COVID thing, I've been holed up at home since April, working from home, and I love it. I'm grateful that I get to work from home, that I'm still employed. But it gets a little cumbersome being there, For the first month or two, Chuck and I were like quarantine jams, and so I'd record some stuff, send it to him, and he'd throw some drums on it. We'd make a video.
Right, yeah, I've seen you guys, like, that's hilarious, man.
Well, and part of it, too, what inspired that is I was looking for the sound. It's like, man, how does everybody get that guitar sound when they record? I want to sound like that. And I found this Neural DSP. I'm not getting paid for this, but if you want to pay me, Neural DSP, I got the Nameless Suite, and it is so crushing. And so, it's like Ola, will it chug? It chugs. And so that's why so many of those songs are just like chug, 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 chug. Nothing difficult. I just want to chug because I can.
Dude, I know, like, so I went to your house, get the snowboard, and then you show me your studio, and dude, that it's kind of like this room, but nicer. way nicer. Way more organized. I mean, I know the camera.
I'm OCD.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, dude, you have to be. To be a computer nerd, you had to be, I bet.
Kind of.
I bet. You have to be, like, perfect.
Yeah. It's like recording a song or a mix. It's never really done. It's just when I'm finally so sick and tired of working on it that I just can't do it. Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's do better with the next song.
I never want to hear this song again.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. It's hard to move on from recording. It's my least favorite activity as a musician. I hate recording because I don't like anything. I never hear anything back the way I hear it in my head when we play it here. and it's crazy. Like even Chuck is recording us right now. I'm like, dude, are you trying to make us sound like Machinecorpse? Like my guitar is so like the trebles are just like ramped out. I'm like, dude, I'm a MIDI guy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm all about the mids and bass, almost no treble. But we're still working on it. I mean, we haven't even recorded. We just recorded with like it was a rough track, so like
Yeah.
it's sweet having that all that distortion to
I
just
haven't
play.
heard any of it. He's like got it under lock and key. I'm like, come on, hook me up. Let me see. Let me hear.
Yeah, he just so we just used a sweet distortion to do the rough tracks and shit, to have like so we can record the drums. But it's not me. It's not my tone at all. I mean,
Sure.
it's cool, but I was like this like what you guys would do.
Well, it's interesting too because he's got. I mean, Chuck has just taken it and ran with it, and he's got his own sound dialed in, and that's a lot of what you're probably hearing. He's got it figured.
But
He's got his own recipe.
He's got good sound. That's why we went with him, because like exactly like every sound guy, even if they try to give you what you want, like their influence is behind it a little bit.
Yeah.
Or a lot, actually. Like our last CD, we did it at Surreal Studios, and it just felt like it was a lot of Kurt, like the way he likes to record, or he likes things to sound. It's like, well, I wanted to sound like you guys sound live. And I was like, well, that's great, but also, I'm not asking you to like play guitar for us, or like have somebody like play my guitars and be perfect. I just wanted to sound so tight that when you play it on your truck, it sounds good.
It sounds just like everything else when you buy an album. Yeah,
exactly. And one thing that I've noticed about our last one, and that I absolutely hate, is that when it comes up on a shuffle, so I'm listening to music, and then the step side comes up, and the levels just drop, and then like the punch just drops, like the intensity just drops, and it's like, look, man, it's not us. We play intense music.
Yeah.
So fuck you, it's not us. It's on the recording side. It's on the master side. It's on the production side.
there's so much to mastering too. All of it. You can really get lost in it. I am learning all the time. I've always actually done all my own production. I had to, because when I started out, with my little 4-track tape player and stuff, there was nobody around to learn. There wasn't even internet at that time to learn from. So I just made it up as I went and tried different things. And as far as the Machinecorpse stuff went, that was always, I always did that myself. I would send Chuck a thing, I'd record it with a hip hop beat usually. I'd throw some hip tone loc beat or whatever, Run DMC, and I'd record a song and strip the drums off it and send it to Chuck and say, hey, it's 132 beats a minute. And then he'd record his drums and send them back and put them in there. And it was cool because it would always retain that underlying kind of hip-hop-ish groove, but yet there was this, double bass, death metal,
Machinecorpse is so lucky to have had two of the best frontmans.
Yeah.
My two favorite frontmans in Alaska, you guys had both.
Brandon
Ballin
was amazing.
He is one of the best vocalists, frontmans, songwriter, musician, just a musician at the fucking heart, man.
Very diverse,
dude. I've been so lucky to not only be in Decepticide and stayed in Decepticide for all these years, but I've been able to like jump to other projects without abandoning Decepticide. I've never done that, but I've been lucky to play with Spitchen for a few songs, play with Jopiet for a few
Triskelium. I remember you guys did a...
no, that was Brock's band. But yes,
but you were playing guitar, though.
No.
You weren't?
No, I play with... But I did play for the Pantera...
Tribute. I remember that.
I played with Brandon. And it was myself, Brandon, his bass player, Jeremy, and Keith. Kid from ATF.
Yes.
And he also used to work at Mammoth. Amazing drummer, and it was hilarious when we started the project. I think we're already jamming here in this room, maybe not, but when we did that project, he knew who Pantera was, but it's one of those guys like, oh yeah, I've heard of them, never really listened to them, and I was like, and you're gonna be our drummer for a Pantera tribute band? But he was so fucking good that he picked it up, and yeah, it was totally not his style, and he just nailed it. But I've been so lucky to play with all these projects, but my favorite ones had always been with Brandon. When we were called the Great Northern Tranquil.
Yep, that was at the Pantera tribute
That's
show.
right. That poster
Yep.
right there, dude. Fucking.
I remember we played that. In fact, I think you posted a video of us playing. I think we played. Was it Becoming? We played this.
Yeah,
at Pantera tribute show. We played one Pantera song.
I have it on my YouTube channel.
Yep.
And you know what, dude? It does say Destroyer. I think those kids changed their name to Terraform because they were supposed to play. They were supposed to play and they canceled that show, and so did Triskelium.
Oh, okay.
They both canceled that show. So I think maybe Murat can correct that for me, but I think they were called Destroyer, and then they switched their name to Terraform.
I always remember them being Terraform, but we only played a couple all ages shows. We played one out at Make a Scene, like you were talking, out at the Meadows out in Wasilla, but that was years and years ago.
Right.
And then we did one at the Eagle River Boys and Girls Club, and then I think we did one off of Muldoon one time, and that was it. I always liked playing
Boys and Girls in Muldoon.
Yeah,
yep.
I always enjoyed playing them because those kids freaking rally.
Yeah, well, at the time, man, it's just so sad the state of our fucking scene now. You know, it's one of the things that I've talked to everybody that has been here. Then when we talked about the scene and like, yeah, what it used to be, how awesome it was, and all this and that. But the most important thing always has been that there was an all ages scene. There was an all ages venue, and the worst thing that can happen to our scene is not have that. Like without an all ages venue, we don't have an avenue to breathe new bands. There's not a place for kids to go to see bands, get inspired, start new bands, and then all those bands that breathe from there, they'll become the fucking bar bands later on, and so on and so on. That's how the scene keeps alive, stays connected, and whatever. Back in those years of Make a Scene, you could go to Wasilla and play for an all ages show. You could play in Anchorage at 2 different venues. You could play at the Downstairs, you could play at Beato's. And so and then ACW after that. So when Beato's Downstairs kind of fucking shut the doors, and there was also the Fiesta room, which was still the Downstairs. It was just kind of like in the next room, all in the same building, but we still had an all ages venue, and there were so many bands back there because of that, because kids were starting bands and they're fucking just keeping it alive, and then those bands eventually will grow older and they will move to the bar scene, and then almost just like every band, eventually they don't kind of look back to the fucking all ages because it just doesn't. You just get used to playing bars, and it becomes kind of creepy, like going to an all ages venue. Dude, especially my last all ages venue, all ages shows, it was weird, man.
Because they're like so small. You don't feel like you're getting any older, but it seems like they're getting younger.
Yes, and it was like young girls in front of you rocking out, headbanging. You're like, I feel bad that I'm looking down to like little kids that are just. It's like, this is so inappropriate.
This is so inappropriate.
But those things are necessary, like all ages venues, and because. ACW, the last all ages venue there was in Anchorage, is being shut down for a few years. Eventually, it caught up with the fucking bar scene, which means that eventually the bands that came out of that scene, they moved to the bar scene. But just like every band here in town, eventually they break up, they move away because everybody leaves Alaska. Most of them come back, but they don't start a band again anyway. So that happens a lot. Like a lot of bands, like, oh, we're gonna move out of state. They break up down there. Half of the band comes back. They never play music again. It happens all the fucking time. So it starts catching up with like more and more bands start dying out. We
have a shortage of metal bands
and
now.
then we don't have like new bands coming up because there's no all-ages scene. So yeah, that's one sad thing, man. That's one thing that after COVID, if this thing ever goes away, if we ever get any normalcy back, because like I watch like our old shows and you just see a crowd venue packed coots, right? Crowd right in front of me, fucking everybody put together. Now when you see that, it's weird because like, oh my god, everybody's there.
They're so close. Be careful.
Nobody's wearing a mask. Obviously, this is a different time, but like
don't breathe on each other.
Now it's weird to see it because you're like, oh my god, you guys are gonna get sick. But it's like, I mean, I got my opinion on that. Is, I'm not gonna get into it, but it's like, well, we need to get back to that. Hopefully we can get back to that safely, to where like, okay, we can do it now because nobody's going to be spraying anything, there's a vaccine, whatever. So if things ever go back to that, man, I really want to get into reviving an all ages fucking scene, man. Like, I don't know how. I don't know with whose help, but like, we need a place. We need to find a fucking place. We need to make it to where having this all ages shows isn't the source of revenue for this venue. It cannot be. Like, you can't depend on it because you don't know how long it's going to take to pick up, and then you don't know, like, you know, it's a different generation. I mean, back there when I was an underage kid, I didn't even have fucking $5 to go to Beatles, but you know, the owner, Al, shout out to Al, he would just let me in. And there was a lot of kids, just like kids with no fucking money, but they just wanted music. And they would go and they fucking keep it alive. And then eventually, people would pay for it, whatever. But they weren't relying on that. They were like, you know, they were selling pizza. They were selling shit during the day. Yeah. So they weren't really relying on like people paying in to get in and see live music. And yes, they were not paying the bands. But you know what, dude? That was your payoff. You got to like step on a stage.
Play a show, yeah.
You know, as adults now and as experienced as we are, if you ever fucking say to me now, well, we're not going to pay you guys, but this is exposure for you guys, I'll tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And I might punch you in the face. I don't know. I might. It's the most insulting fucking thing. You can.
I will play a show for nothing just because I want to, but don't act
give me
like
that.
You're doing me a favor. Like, oh yeah, you can, you can make videos and it's good. Yeah, no, that doesn't fly with me either.
For an all ages venue, that's acceptable. You're like, look, you're kids, you're starting your band, you want people to fucking get to know you, and look at the bigger picture. Yes, this will give you exposure. Okay, fine. That's acceptable. As adults that we play in bars, you're like, dude, I don't play for free. Oh, so it's all about money. I'm like, no.
So we pay for 2 beer tickets.
But this shit didn't cost fucking couple beers, man.
Yeah.
All this shit you see around us, like, it didn't come free.
No.
It came very fucking expensive.
And
a
lot of hard work.
And a lot of hard work to be here in this room once a week, twice a week for fucking years and years and put in fucking time playing music. You're booking us for a reason. You're booking us because you know that we're going to sound good, we're going to bring people, and we're going to put on a good show. So, yeah, you have to pay me. That's it. But on all ages, it's different story.
Wait, are they paying you? When you go play Coots, they pay you?
Oh, they pay me.
That's bullshit. I had to drive out from the valley in the freaking blizzard.
You're like
uphill both ways barefoot.
You're like that meme, like, you guys are getting paid.
Yeah, we got paid 2 beer tickets. You didn't even laugh at that because it didn't mean anything because it's not the truth. You got money.
I'm gonna pull out that meme and put it in here. Like, you guys are getting paid.
Wait a minute, we're supposed to get paid for this?
Again, my house.
I guess so. I guess I've been mistaken all these years.
Oh man, that's fucking hilarious. All right, dude, we're coming up here to a fucking hour, but we still got a couple minutes. But I think that's like my mission when things blow over a little bit and we can get back to some of that. I need to do some sort of collaboration with somebody who owns a business, something that is a business during the day and can be a venue at night, and can be safe for kids to be there. The parents don't feel weird like dropping them off there or whatever, or that they have like a bus system that they can take the bus back home, whatever. So even if we have to do shows like kind of early.
You know, it's funny that you're bringing this up because this was something that I wanted to do all along. And because I lived out in the valley, I wanted to do it out there, but there really isn't the infrastructure or the population to really support that as much. But that's exactly what I wanted to do, is to start a venue. I wanted to call it the Machine Shop. And of course, and have my stage, and then off to the side have a welding shop, like a welding deal with the little like yellow clear plastic around it to help people's eyes. So you could have bands come and play, and then I could be in there doing metal artwork by listening to the band, just being inspired by whatever they're doing, and they're grinding stuff, welding stuff, sparks flying. So it makes for a cool show. But then during the rest of the week, you have that stage in there. You can have open mic stuff. You can let young bands come in and play. They can rent the place for an hour or two, whatever, cheap, so that they've got a stage to play on. They got a PA system that's set up, somebody to run sound. They come in and do their thing. Have Wi-Fi, so college students can come in during the day and study when there's not band practices going on. Something that will support it the rest of the time. And then maybe have like somebody come in with a liquor license with the beer garden if you're going to have an adult show now and again. But that's kind of always been the goal. So you know what? Maybe that's something we talk about more offline as time rolls on.
Absolutely, man. Because this is our home, man. And this is where I've been playing for since 2005. Since 2004 is the first time I stepped on a stage. But I don't like to count that. My first time, I don't like to count it. It was at the Snow Goose, 49th State now, and it was for a talent show. And I wasn't competing. It wasn't even a talent show. I guess it was a talent show. What do you call those talent shows for like girls only? Like a pageant?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, how did?
It was weird, man.
I was gonna say, did you shave? I mean, what did you do?
No, we wore the music in between like acts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was weird. My body
metal between the acts?
No. We played like a bunch of covers, but it was like a bunch of radio covers, and my buddy Trevor at the time, he found us the gig, and anyways, yeah. So I don't count, but officially that was my first time I was on the stage, and I was dressed all nice. I had like a nice blue shirt and fucking slacks, and I was playing my fucking LTD Kirk Hammett with the fucking Skull and Bones fucking fretboard. Yeah. So, but anyways, been playing for a long fucking time, and I know when the scene was the most alive was when we had All Ages venue, and kids had a place to go see music, be inspired, star bands, man. And that would breathe bands for the next generation, and the next after that generation will move to the bar scene, and then a new one will come up, and so on and so on. And that's how the scene is alive and healthy. This whole there isn't that many people here. Motherfucker, I was there. I was there when there were so many bands, and especially between the year 2009, 2008, 2010. My God, there was too many metal bands. There was actually too many.
There was a lot.
It was annoying. There was so many all ages new metal bands, and metal was just hot back then, man. And then those bands, half of those bands, like moved to the bar scene, and but it was awesome, man. It doesn't matter that there were so many metal bands. There was also other styles of fucking bands and music. Now there's nothing, and I know that the only reason there isn't anything is because the death of a fucking all ages venue. Just it was the beginning of the end of this fucking music scene, and it can come back. I just know that it can.
Yeah.
All we need is a fucking venue. And if we can have two, one here, one in the valley, even better. But I think that's a way to fucking bring it back, man. Anyways, coming up here to an hour. Fucking A, man.
Dude, this has been awesome.
Hell yeah,
Thank you very much. It's cool to connect. We always saw each other at shows. And
I haven't seen you in years.
I know. And then you do, and bam, here it is.
We're here, like I said, I mean, everything happens for a reason, man. Life is fucking crazy, man.
That's what I tell my wife all the time. Shout out to Dorothy. Sometimes I just sit back and look at the things that are going on in my life and the lives of those people around me, and I just laugh at the ridiculousness of it all, because
how everything happened and came together.
It's like synchro mesh gears, man. I mean, it's like it couldn't be more perfect. Even though there's weird stuff, weird stuff even contributes to the perfection of it all.
If we tried to plan this, you probably wouldn't have worked out as well as it did. And right now, it just feels right. It feels fucking natural.
Spontaneous.
To be here right
because
now.
We're supposed to be here right now. Yeah.
That's right, man. All right,
right on, brother.
Appreciate you being here. You guys, this is episode fucking 10.
Episode 10.
With Chris Barton.
Barton with an A.
Chris Barton. All right, guys. Thank you. Like, subscribe. That shit really fucking helps. And, appreciate it if you share it with your friends, and especially your musicians from our fucking time, from this time. Doesn't fucking matter. We'll keep this one. I'll keep this fucking podcast going as long as people want to listen to it. And, see you guys in the fucking next one. Bye, everyone.
Right on, man. Hell yeah, dude. It's so weird. It feels like you were like actually talking in front of me. Like take this off now.